Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are 3 weeks away from the Xbox Bethesda showcase, and it should be a good one because not only are rumors saying that Xbox has a ton to show this year, but also, based on how this year's been shaping up, they also have a lot to prove. So let's talk about my predictions for the biggest show of the year. So basically all I've done is I've taken all of my predictions and all of my hopes for this show and I've condensed them down into a YouTube friendly top 10 list wherein prediction number 1 is the one that I think is the most likely to come true but also the most boring, and number 10 is the one that I think is the least likely to come true but the most exciting. So with that in mind, my number 1 prediction is that we will see both Starfield and Redfall at this show. Yes, this one is basically a shoo-in because they probably already had whatever they were going to show at this show submitted to it before they knew that they were delaying it into next year. And even if they knew that they were delaying it beforehand, the fact that they delayed it into the first half of next year means that those two games will both be out, hopefully, cross your fingers, before the next one of these. And so with that in mind, I think it's very important that we see both of these games and that we also get gameplay for both of these games. Because with Starfield, I feel like we can basically guess what it's going to look like, right? I mean, we've seen the art style, and it's basically just going to be Skyrim or Fallout in that art style. Just looking nicer than those games because it'll be on a brand new generation of consoles, right? So I feel like we can kind of guess at what that one is. Redfall, on the other hand, is a mystery, right? Because it's all we know about it, as far as I'm aware, is that it is a arcane game about vampires and it's some kind of co-op shooter, right? So there's a lot of different directions that could go in terms of gameplay. Like, is it first person? Is it third person? They may have said that. I don't know. But it would be really nice to get to actually see that game in action because, frankly, that first cinematic that they showed off didn't really do anything for me. And I'm hoping that they can turn me around on that. But I think we get both of those games shown at this showcase. My second prediction and my second most guaranteed one, I think this one is just an absolute lock, is we're going to also see Forza Motorsport, and I think that we'll also get a release date for this one, and I think that it will be this year, 2022, because with the delay of Starfield and Redfall, Xbox does not currently have any first-party games announced for being coming out in the year 2022, which is not great. You know, they have some third-party exclusives and they've obviously got their Game Pass deals, so they're not, dead, as some people would be saying. But it's pretty bad. So this seems like the most obvious solution to that question, even if it is kind of a boring solution. I feel like people just really want something exciting out of Xbox that isn't Halo, Gears, and Forza, and this is obviously a Forza game, but having something is better than having nothing. So hopefully this is coming out this year and hopefully we get it announced at this show, because if we don't see it at this show, that's honestly a problem. Prediction number 3 is I believe that Obsidian will sort of come out as being the star of this show. I think they're really going to show themselves as being Xbox's version of Insomniac, where they're just got all of these games coming out and they all look good, right? Because we know that Grounded 1.0 is supposed to be coming out this year, right? And I don't personally care about survival games, but apparently if you like survival games, that's a good one. But they've been saying that they want to put out one game every year for the foreseeable future, which would mean that next year, 2023, they should be putting out their next most, old announced game, I guess you would say, which would be Avowed. And Avowed, I am very excited for. The idea of having a Skyrim style game in the world of Pillars of Eternity sounds absolutely outstanding. Now, I don't know necessarily if we'll get a release date or even if we'll see gameplay, but just getting a better idea of what this game is in terms of story would be really, really awesome. And on top of almost certainly seeing Avowed at this show, there's also the rumor that there's a smaller team being led by Josh Sawyer, who I think was the lead designer I think that was his title, for Fallout New Vegas, which is one of my favorite games of all time. And rumors are that he has a small game, so nothing super huge or crazy, that might be coming out as early as this year. So if that's to be believed, then that should also be shown off here. And I'm really excited to see what that is potentially. I also think that there is a small chance, and I don't want to necessarily include this in my prediction, but I do want to mention it. I think that there is a small chance that because of Bethesda's recent inability to hit deadlines, that Xbox might be going, okay, well then, if you can't hit deadlines, we're going to take some of your stuff and give it to people who can, which is Obsidian, and we are going to allow them to make Fallout New Vegas 2, or whatever they end up calling it. And it is possible that they could show us a sort of title treatment, just something very basic at this show for that. That's a very high hope. I don't think it's likely, but if we get it, I will be so excited. You will see and hear me screaming from wherever on the planet you are. I guarantee it. Prediction number 4, the complete opposite, is my sort of pessimism prediction, right? I've taken all of my negativity, all the things I don't think we're going to see, and turned it into one prediction. I don't think we're going to see a new acquisition. I've said that we would see acquisitions for the last 2 years of these, and been wrong both times. And this time, they're also tied up in the Activision Blizzard thing, so I think not seeing an acquisition announced here is pretty much a given. But on top of that, I also don't think we're going to see that Indiana Jones game from Machine Games. I don't think we're going to see Elder Scrolls 6. I don't think we're going to see State of Decay 3. It feels like it's too soon for all of those, and I don't necessarily even want them to show too many things that are really far off, right? I think that they should focus on things that are coming out hopefully this year and then 2023, because they have enough things to show, and I don't want them to overpromise and underdeliver, which is unfortunately what they've been doing so far. So hopefully we can turn that around with this show. My next 2 predictions are my address the problem predictions. So number 5 is, I believe that there will be a decent Japanese game presence at this show. We know that Atlus's Soul Hackers 2 is launching on Xbox, which is, I think, the first time that Atlus has maybe ever launched a game on the Xbox platform, so I would not be surprised to see that here. But also, I think it would be really exciting if they could be like, and Final Fantasy VII Remake is finally coming to Xbox, or Genshin Impact is coming, or Final Fantasy XIV, or, Persona, something on that level. I don't think is out of reach at this point. They've been making a lot of steps to increase the number of Japanese games that hit their platform, and I think this would be a really good time to announce more of those sort of bigger names, some of those bigger holes that are missing from specifically the JRPG lineup on Xbox. They've said that they're partnering with a bunch of Japanese indie studios, and I think we might see 1 or 2 of those as well, although I don't think those would necessarily be very exciting, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them. Prediction number 6 is that I think they're going to try and sort of lay out a roadmap and hopefully actually hit those dates, Bethesda. So I think that, obviously I think they're going to show us a lot of the exclusives that they have coming out this year, because I think with the announcement of the delays, people have forgotten that they do still have exclusives that are coming out this year. They're just not first party, right? So I think we'll see, Darktide, Somerville, Scorn replaced. We might see Stalker 2, although I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't, because that one is being developed in a war zone currently, so don't be upset if that one doesn't show up. But I think it's very likely that we'll see at least a couple of those ones, maybe all 4 of them, as well as maybe a couple of other sort of Game Pass day and date launches, like maybe they get Saints Row in there, and so we see a Saints Row trailer. I could see something like that happening, and I think that we'll get at least 2 major game release dates, or at least windows for next year, and I think that it's very likely that those will be Avowed, like I mentioned before, and maybe something like a Hellblade, or who knows, for 2023. But I think that one of the very important things that they need to do with this show is reassure people that there is a pipeline of games coming and that they will hit those dates. They need to be very confident in the way that they describe it. Prediction number 7 is that I think that we will see Hellblade 2. Now, Hellblade up until this point has been, for some reason, exclusively a Game Awards thing. They showed it off the first time when they announced the new console at Game Awards, and then they had the last trailer, I think, was also a Game Awards trailer. But being as how I believe that it's coming out next year, it would be good to see a trailer that has sort of combat gameplay in it, or at least something that tells us sort of more what the story is, because at the moment all we know is that Senua has seemingly taken on some form of leadership or something, and that she fought a big giant. So I just want to know more about that game. I hope we get a release date for it, because I think it's, whatever year that comes out, I think it's going to be one of the bigger games of the year, quite frankly, and hopefully that year is 2023. I also think that it's possible that we see Project Mara from Ninja Theory. That game was announced a couple years ago, I think, at this point, and we still really don't know what it is like at all. So I think it's very possible that we get a trailer for that, so that we actually know what it is other than a thing that exists. And I honestly kind of hope it's not just called Project Mara in the final game. They don't pull a triangle strategy. I hope that it is its own like freestanding thing. But prediction number 8, also in the vein of new game announcements, is I think that it's time for the Coalition to show up, right? I think that they're going to show up, and they're going to show off a brand new game that is not Gears of War. We've been hearing the rumors for a while that they're working on some kind of new IP, whether that's something licensed from Disney, like a Star Wars or a superhero game. Have been a lot of the rumors, although I think people just want to see those things. Or if it's a brand new IP. Personally, I think I would be more excited for just an entirely brand new IP, because I don't think Coalition has ever gotten the chance to do that. They just sort of took over the reins from Gears from Epic whenever Epic left to go make $1 million bazillion with Fortnite. So it'd be nice to see what like them in their own entire start to finish creative process would look like, because I do think that they're one of sort of the unsung heroes of the Xbox studio family, and so it would be really cool to see what they can do when they have full freedom. Prediction number 9, and we're getting to some pretty unlikely ones at this point, is that I believe both EA and Ubisoft will have a major game shown at this showcase. We know that neither EA or Ubisoft, at least at the time I'm recording this, neither of them have a showcase announced for the summer, which is unusual for them. So if they have major games that they're planning on putting out this year or early next year, it would be wise of them to show them off sooner rather than later, so that people can know what they are and start getting excited and potentially pre-ordering them. And so with rumors that Jedi Fallen Order 2, Jedi Survivor, I think is the title of it, according to Jeff the Grub, is supposed to be coming out this year, I don't think it's without reason to think that it could be at this show. Now, I've also heard people saying that it could be at the Star Wars, like their own showcase later in the year, but I think last year that showcase was in October, and if it is October again this year, then that would be way too late for them to then also launch the game. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure it'll be there if it's launching in like November. But if they want to get people starting to get excited for it, they need to show it off earlier, and I think this would be a good place for it. Or at a PlayStation conference, because I'm sure PlayStation is going to end up doing something in the next month or two. And as for Ubisoft, the one that I want to say is that they would show off that new Avatar game, but we saw on a recent sort of slideshow that they were putting on for, I think, shareholders, that PlayStation seemingly has the marketing rights for that Avatar game, so we might not see that. So as a backup, I'm going to say I think it's time for a new Assassin's Creed game, and if they're not having their own showcase, why not here, right? Show me Assassin's Creed Japan finally, or Assassin's Creed Three Kingdoms era China. Just show me Assassins in Asia, and I will be happy. I think we've covered basically every other continent other than Antarctica, but you're not going to be an assassin penguin. So, actually, we haven't done South America either. I guess it could be like an Aztec thing. That would be neat, but I'm not really sure if that would be something they would want to do. Regardless, I think both EA and Ubisoft will show up in a major way at this showcase. And my final prediction, number 10, the most outlandish one, is I think we might see Kojima at this show. Now, me personally, not a fan of Kojima. I don't think I've hidden that from anybody. I really didn't like Death Stranding. I think Metal Gear is extremely convoluted, although very fun. But there is no denying that when that man makes a game, people talk about it and people buy it. It is always a big deal when he makes something, even if that thing is Death Stranding. And there's been rumors of him working with Xbox on something cloud-based for a very long time now. And more so than that, they know that we have been hearing those rumors, and Xbox generally, once rumors like the Fable thing start becoming common knowledge, they tend to just go ahead and announce it so that they can talk about it more freely and not have to worry about it as much. So I think that there's a solid chance that they might just, if it's true, they might just bite the bullet and be like, here's Kojima, we're doing a thing, right? Death Stranding, it feels like it just came out because it haunts my nightmares with how just atrocious it was. But that was 3 years ago, and Norman Reedus just said that he just like fully spoiled that they're making a sequel to that today as I'm recording this. They like just started, which means the last 3 years they had to have been working on something. So potentially they would have something to show for this Xbox show. I don't think it's out of the realm of reason at all. I think it is honestly beyond time for them to show off a new game. So that's all my predictions for the Xbox Bethesda Showcase 2022. And honestly, if even like half of them turn out to be true, then I'm going to be very happy with the outcome of this show. But let me know what you guys thought about my predictions in the comments down below, and leave predictions of your own, because now is the time to start getting excited for this. They haven't told us not to. They haven't hit us with the state of play, control your expectations tweet yet. So now is the time to be excited. If you like this kind of content, of course, do what everyone always tells you to do. Like, share, subscribe. You already know. You've watched a YouTube video before. Whatever. Until next time, I'll see you around.